What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Absolute Strength Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hunt, back with another episode, and today we have the strength coach from the Carolina Panthers, NFL strength coach, Joe Kenn. This was a really cool episode. I've been working on trying to get Coach Kenn on the podcast for a long time. We finally got the chance to sit down and have a conversation. I was really pumped up about it. I will say right off the bat, I just want to be honest, the audio was kind of shitty on my end. I don't know, the internet, for whatever reason, the internet in my office has been terrible last week. Like, I've been struggling through coaching calls, and we recorded the podcast and struggled with the audio a little bit. I edited it up, so it sounds decent, but just know the content is amazing, so suffer through the audio not being quite up to the standard that I normally like it to be, but it is what it is. We got a great conversation in, talked a lot about just really about how he trains NFL guys, kind of like the yearly periodization of working with an NFL athlete from the offseason, in-season, et cetera, Really cool episode. I think you guys are going to enjoy it, and it kind of was like, man, as I was doing this episode, I was like, because I bought all the stuff to do in-person podcasts, and it kind of just hammered home, like, man, I'm tired of dealing with the internet issues. I got to take this show on the road, got to take it to the next level and start doing more in-person podcasts. So expect that in 2019. I think this episode kind of pushed me over the edge. Like, you know what? We're going to do more in-person episodes this year. Really excited about doing that. Got all the stuff. So we'll see that. And actually have a special. We're closing in on episode 200. It's going to be within the next week, episode 200 of the podcast. I have something special planned, which will be an in-person podcast, kind of. It will be in person. That's all I'm going to say. Cool episode planned for episode 200. That will be next week. But today we have Joe Kenn. You're going to enjoy it. Before we get to the episode, as always, this podcast is sponsored by PR Breaker. PR Breaker Materia is the pre-workout I use and recommend. All studied dosed ingredients, 3 great flavors. I mean, you've heard me talk about it before, but I still get asked a lot, like, hey, Kyle, why do you like PR Breaker so much? Why do you like Materia? And just for the record, I was taking this before I had any connection or any affiliation, like business-wise, with them at all. And I've been friends with Derek for years. I'm friends with the owner, and he'll even tell you, I mean, he's coming on the podcast later this week. We do a podcast together once a month, usually, and he'll tell you, I mean, I was using the product. I was friends with him, talking with him. We had no business relationship at all. I was promoting it because it's a great formula. If I created a pre-workout formula, it would be damn close to what this is, if not the exact same formula. I really like it. All study dose ingredients. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when companies promote their pre-workout product, they'll make claims based off from the ingredients that are actually in it. Okay, well, that makes sense. But they won't put enough of the active ingredient actually in the product to be able to make the claims. So, for example, like with citrulline malate, there's 8 grams of citrulline malate in PR Breaker. Well, in studies, studies usually use 6 to 8 grams. Okay, that's what study dose means. But if a company uses 3 grams or 2 grams or only 1 gram, if they only use 1 gram and the research uses 8 grams, so you're using 1/8 of what the research shows, but then you make the same claims. So you're using 1/8 of the ingredient, but you're making the same claims that you used 8 grams. That doesn't make sense to me. And a lot of times what companies will do is they'll hide their formula in a proprietary blend. So when you look on the back of the label, it'll just be a list of ingredients, but it won't tell you exactly how much is in there. So you don't know. I don't like that. Personally, I don't like that. When I buy a supplement, I want to look at the supplement facts, and I want to know exactly of how much ingredient I'm getting. A completely transparent label is what I look for. And that's what you get with PR Breaker. Actually, the Blue Raz flavor is out of stock right now. So what we're doing to kind of make up for that is there's a discount right now on, if you go to prbreaker.com, you can get the cotton candy, orange creamsicle, and a shaker for a pretty big discount. And on top of that, you can just use the discount code HUNT10 to save even more money. If you want to help support the show, go use the HUNT10 discount code, save some money, get the pre-workout I use and recommend. You won't be disappointed. Last but not least, before we get to the podcast, I wanted to talk about coaching. Actually, we talked a lot about coaching in this podcast, and one of the things you might miss if you're not paying attention, but one of my favorite quotes from this podcast is Joe Kenn. Mind you, he's been in the strength and conditioning industry for 30 plus years, coaches NFL athletes. He's literally the head strength coach for the Carolina Panthers. And his quote, this awesome quote, is everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs coaching. And if you're not paying attention, you might miss it. I just really wanted to highlight that. He said everybody needs coaching. He even says he likes to look out and get other people to look at him, to watch him lift, help him out. He's out searching for people. He's out looking for more information. He's been in the industry for 30 years and is coaching NFL athletes, and he's still investing in coaches. But yet, you have people. I have conversations with people. They haven't even been training for 3 months, but yet they don't think they need a coach. They don't think they'd benefit from a coach. You got someone who's been in the industry coaching people for 30 years, believes in coaching, believes in the value of coaching. Got someone that's been lifting weights for 3 months. Nah, I don't need coaching. No value in it. All right, guys, you know the deal. If you're interested in working with me, if you want to take your training to the next level, we want to take your nutrition to the next level in 2019, let's get on a call. Let's talk about your goals. Let's talk about how we can get your training dialed in, nutrition dialed in to take you to the next level. More information about my coaching is in the show notes, or if you want to just send me an email, it's kylehuntfitness@gmail.com. Let's start the conversation. Let's get on a call. And if nothing else, maybe I'll just be able to answer some of the questions for you. If nothing happens after the call, that's fine. If I can answer some of your questions, I call that a win-win. But if we're able to set something up and get you set up on a training program and some coaching, even better. All right. Hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, hit me up in the DMs at Hunt Fitness on Instagram. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you like it. Make sure you tell your friends. Enjoy. Joe, what's going on? Thanks for coming on the show.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you having me. I know you reached out, and I'm glad that we got to able to set it up and ready when you are.
I know. I feel like I've been trying to get you on the show for a while. Seems like it's been years.
Yeah, it's tough. Like anything else, everybody has their busy times and their down times. And, for us and the way our calendar works, this is a downtime. So, right, you're not the only one that I've kind of left high and dry a little bit on podcasts. So I'm trying to go through my notes and catch up with these people who have willing enough to invite me and see what I got to say.
Yeah, 100%. What's the off season like for you? Like from a schedule standpoint, like obviously the season ends. What's like the first month? What do you do?
Yes. Most of our guys, the NFL is a lot different than college, where the onus of training is actually on the player, where in college, the onus of training really falls on the strength coach because of the regimentation of the college academic calendar and the amount of time that the athletes now stay on campus. Everything's dictated to them almost to the minute. And for us here, that's one of the first things we have to teach our rookies is because of the way the rules are written, really the onus of the training schedule is on the player because there's a large majority of time that they do not have to be on campus, so to speak. I usually just call where we train campus after almost 20 years in college. So you have to get them to understand that, hey, when you're not here, no one's helping you set your alarm. No one's making you wake up to go to a 6 a.m. lift or team run. You have to be able to be intrinsically motivated to understand when it's time to go, when it's time to recover, and prepare yourselves for the upcoming voluntary programs that'll start in April, and then the mini camps, and then you're off again for 4 or 5 weeks, which is the most important time to prep for training camp. So the rules are fairly rigid, where when the athlete's not necessarily on campus, there's very strict rules about how much hands-on a strength and conditioning coach can have. So it's a little bit interesting in the sense of, I don't know how much you're familiar with the college rules, but for those of you guys who are college strength coaches or understand them, from really the time our season ends to the time our voluntary program starts in April, it's like discretionary time where the strength coaches are available pretty much for safety and health reasons, but the onus still is on the athlete. There's no attendance. There's no, there's a workout manual that we can give the guys, but it's pretty much on them. I mean, we can be there to help spot and make sure their technique is on point, but the actual, like, get your hands on a guy and coach, what I would call, aggressively coach or be in the mix, you got to watch yourself, because the rules are written where that could get somebody in trouble if something should happen.
Are they limited, the NFL guys, and how much they can actually be in the facility in the off season?
They can be here anytime they want. It's just that what they are, what the people around them are able to do with them is regimented.
Okay.
Like they can't meet with their position coaches to talk football. They can talk, how's life? Where'd you go eat dinner? But they cannot like sit down and meet with their coach. Like if you're a rookie, you can't sit down and watch tape with your coach.
In the off season, you can't at all.
Yeah. I mean, you can go in and do self-study on your own, but that's your choice. It cannot be mandatory. So there's a lot of, like I said, the onus falls on the player, and that's why they're professionals. I mean, that's why they get paid. And if they enjoy the paycheck and they enjoy being a professional athlete, they'll learn how to manage their time more efficiently to make sure that they last as long as they can in this league, which is not very long for most people.
Yeah.
So when you see guys lasting close to 10 years or over 10 years, these are the individuals who figured out how the year works and when they need to be ready, when they need to back off, and when it's go time. So it's really a lot. I'm a NASCAR fan, so it's almost like it's like a NASCAR deal where, your warm-up laps. So like in January, it's like the first warm-up lap where the car's barely humming. And then you take that around. And then in April, you start picking up the gears. And then, you get to summer break. Then you got to pick it up another lap. And then you get to training camp. And now you're getting close to when the green flag falls. And then in September, the green flag falls, and now it's go time.
Yeah. Shit, you're in the perfect city to be a NASCAR fan in the NFL.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a big Hendricks guy. I love Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr. when he was riding, and Jeff Gordon. I got to get used to these new guys. Thank goodness Jimmy's still driving, and I've gotten to talk to those guys before. Met with Chad Canals, who's one of the all-time greatest crew chiefs, and actually the gentleman and the coach who gave me my first coaching job out of college is one of the pit crew coaches there. So I've got some contacts over there. So it's cool when you can have a few people and you can go over there and have some fun watching guys practice and stuff. And I really enjoy watching the pit crews practice, because like anything else, if you're a team sport coach, it's just cool to watch the people who get very little recognition and have a tremendous amount of, responsibility in how that car finishes every week.
Yeah, the pit crews are crazy. I grew up in Corning, New York, which is only about 25, 30 minutes from Watkins Glen. So I grew up in Watkins Glen almost every year watching the road course race. It's pretty wild.
Oh yeah, the road course shows a little bit more skill than the ovals, that's for sure.
Yeah,
you get exposed on a road course.
Yeah, well, actually, I can't remember. It might have been like, I don't even know, 1998. I was probably 7 years old. 1999 maybe. Went for the first time ever, and Jeff Gordon won. That was when he won like 4 times at Watkins Glen or something. Oh
yeah.
So that was my driver. Jeff Gordon was my driver from that point on.
Yeah, got a name. Was it earlier this week or last week or earlier this week? Jeff Gordon just got inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Oh, did he? I didn't even see that. I mean, not surprised. I mean, he should have.
No, of course, yeah. Not too many better drivers than him.
No, I don't even know most of the guys anymore, though. Probably like Jimmy Johnson. That's about it.
Yeah, it's getting younger fast now.
Yeah, it's
for sure. I mean, young, like 18, 19. Crazy. I give those guys some credit, because I don't know if I want to drive 200 miles an hour at my age, let alone 18. Well, guess what? If you're 18, you don't know any better.
I was going to say, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Anybody after you've had some experience, you don't want to do it anymore. Crazy, crazy. So I want to dig into your background a little bit, and I know you don't have to get into all the details because I know it's pretty long, but you had quite the process to get to the NFL.
Yeah, I feel fortunate that the process was the way it is, because in this day and age, a lot of guys are skipping some of the rungs of the ladder. And I don't think that you can skip ladders to the ultimate success, because if you miss a step on the way up, it's really hard to improve your sustainability when you get to where you're at. So from a professional standpoint, I actually like that I haven't missed any of the steps to get to this position. I mean, it's a very fortunate position to be in. There's only 32 of these jobs in the world. I going into year 9 is, I look at it from the aspect of, as a former Division I college football player, my ultimate goal was to play in the NFL. It didn't work out, as it doesn't for most people. But the opportunity to coach in the NFL is the next best thing for guys who are into the football deal and coaching football or being a strength and conditioning coach for a football program. So I feel fortunate enough that I've gotten the opportunity and actually to work with the Panthers. This might not be my last stop. You never can that way. You can ride it out till it's over. So for me to say, take another job in the future, the next job, I'll make it the best job that it's ever been, because that's how I believe the best job in the world is the one you have at that moment. So it might not be my dream job, but it will be the best job I've ever had. So it's one of those deals that you look at from a fortunate standpoint. The method to get to these positions have changed dramatically from when I first started. And, like anything else, it's just the evolution of how things roll, the ability for younger coaches to be more, I guess the best word to say is exposed to more options to get their name out there and more recognition at a much younger position than it was when I came up. And, brand management, social media has really made people popular, and in some respects before they should be popular. And a lot of, the internet, there's a tremendous amount of positive about it, and there's a tremendous amount of negative. Hopefully you have the intelligence and the education and the practical background to, cipher through what is legitimate and what is, garbage or fraudulent. The one we were just talking today, my assistant and I'll be honest with you, I've been really impressed, because some of the stuff I've implemented in my own training's help are some of these physical therapists who are posting some of these like movement pattern correctives and programming to come off of, soft tissue type injuries. I'm like, some of those dudes are legit. Now,
yeah.
There's actually one guy in Charlotte that we're going to try to reach out to and see if he'll let us come visit, because it's just, that's another opportunity to make connections that you were hard to make back in the day, where, you cold calling. I mean, I wouldn't even know if these people even existed. You just, hopefully you bump into somebody back in the day. Now you can, get on a social media site, float around and find out, oh, this guy's in Charlotte, and hey, I'm in Charlotte. Let me see if we can get something worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's great in the aspect of there's so much information available, so you can learn a lot more. But you almost have to develop a skill to figure out, kind of have that bullshit detector. It's like, okay, well, there's so much information. What's legit and what's not? I think sometimes people struggle with that.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta, like I say, I don't fault anybody for trying to make a dollar.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everybody. It doesn't mean I'm going to look at their product. I mean, it doesn't mean, that I'm, that guy, I mean, I hear it all the time. That guy's a great coach. How do you know? You watch him coach? Just because he has a product. I mean, there's a lot more people who can write content that is quality content. I'm not even going to say it's not, but how do you know? Like, that's why I tell people the best way to find out is site visits. You can read all you want, but if you really want to know about somebody, do a site visit. My coaching style is a lot different than when I was at college. At college, you're in there now, and we still coach hard. But I mean, we're in a position now where it's management.
Yeah.
We're managing players' bodies to the best of our abilities. It's important to continue to work on things, and explosive components of training is way different. Some of your rookies still need that development, but you're dealing now with an age bracket that's totally different than the high school and college athletes. So it's a totally different modality. It might be the same exercise intent, and how to accomplish are totally different.
Yeah. I mean, how much of it really at the NFL level is really, you said management, but really it's just trying to manage the guys' bodies to avoid injury too.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, the number one capability is availability and durability. And that's kind of your number one job, is to make sure that they're prepared for Sunday. And however that comes during the season is whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot. The number one thing that I've learned at this level that I think I would do a much better job if I went back to college is it's the communication. These athletes know their bodies. That's why they're at this level, and their ability to communicate what's going on. And then your expertise is to help them find the solution. And that's just the way it is. So when you're building your programs, I don't think there's anything really extraordinary with a professional athlete. In some case, it's almost like you're circling back to, very structured and, general type of movements that you see, in everyday programming, because we just got to make sure that their movement patterns are correct and that they're capable to do things. Because in the end, they're being judged on Sunday. They're being judged on their abilities to play football. They're all strong enough, from a standpoint of football abilities. But I mean, there's certain guys on my team that I could easily see could be lifters, but they're not. Football is their game, and that's always going to come first when it comes to their physical preparation.
Yeah, they're not trying to compete in powerlifting or CrossFit or anything like that. Football is their sport. They're just training to complement that.
Yeah, where the strength athlete, they walk in the weight room, that's their practice field.
Yep. Yeah. What are some of the recovery things that you've seen change over the years since you've been in the NFL?
Well, I mean, I'm like anything else. It's what you're able to, what you can able to afford. In the end, if you can only afford ice, then ice is key. But you see most of these guys are willing to invest in their own recovery. You'll see a lot of athletes will have their own game readies. A lot of athletes will have their own Normatecs. Massage therapists, whether it's available on site or they have one off site. Now the people are into the cryotherapy units. But like anybody else knows, the number one aspects of recovery, and the older guys get, the more they understand sleep and eat.
Yep.
The problem with a lot of guys are, they come from a long day and then they have to squeeze in daddy time when they get home because they have, they want to be good family men to their families. And so that's a concern. Just like, most athletes in the NFL during the season, their off day is Tuesday, and it's not necessarily an off day. They're trying to squeeze in a whole bunch of daddy time. And then if they've got foundations or other types of, things on their calendar, they're all making all those meetings on Tuesday. Yep. So usually Tuesday ain't no different than going to work on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for practice. So there's a lot of things that go into it. I think you just got to keep an open mind and always remember what the end goal is, and that's Sunday. I think sometimes when I was in college, you kind of get a little overzealous with the lifting, and you sometimes got to remember, hey man, you got to be ready for Saturday.
Yeah.
So you have to adjust from there. But I think everything's a learning experience, and everybody has to figure it out their own way and not be afraid to, you can't be afraid to fail, but you also can't be afraid to, try some things out and see. And if they work, they work. If they don't, they don't. But you have to find out. I mean, but again, it always goes back to, when in doubt, the strength part's easy.
Yep.
Squat, pull, press, hinge, carry, the Dan John, big six. I mean, It's not very hard, but what you can expand off those categories is the creativity of being a good strength coach and watching and learning athleticism.
What does a typical game week look like from a strength conditioning component?
For us, we train twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, and we have some guys who come in Thursdays. We used to have some guys who prefer to come in 2 days after a game. So we used to open up Tuesdays is usually an off day, but if a guy wanted to come in that day and lift, that was, didn't lift on a Monday. But most of our guys lift Monday and Wednesday, and then we have a pretty good contingent who'll come in on Friday and do some extra work, gun show, extra shoulders, core work. We have some guys who'll come in, on their own and do more soft tissue work in the weight room and get prepped for practice while doing a light little, some machine type exercises just to get a little blood flow. But our two main lifts are Mondays and Wednesdays during the season. And we're always looking to figure out ways and talk to the vets what's the best way to make those 2 days productive. But they're both pretty much whole body training, what we believe in, and good rotations of squatting, pulling, pressing, med ball throws, a lot of posterior chain and posterior shoulder work, neck, abs, so forth. So nothing super fancy.
No.
Probably got about 30 to 35 minutes of work.
I was going to say how long? About 30, 35 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we always try to build it where if a guy has some needs or things that he feels that are necessary for him to be successful, we always give them enough time. We'll write the program the way we feel it's set, but I always want to give them the ability that if there's something very specific that they feel is necessary for them to be successful, that we have not, I guess for the best lack of a better term, fatigued them so they could do their add-ons and still not take out too much gas out of their tank for practice in the games.
Are the workouts designed like just kind of across the board, or is it customized by like positional group, or how's that set up?
Oh, we have groups and then outside the box, and then the front seven is level 2 guys. But at this level, again, as age starts to add up, our super vets, there's a lot of off the script movement choices and flipping the script if a guy comes in after a game beat up. But everything starts anything else from a group type programming, and then it goes from there. And we've been very fortunate that our guys have done a really good job of communicating with us, and we know guys' limitations going in. So those adjustments a lot of times are already made.
Yeah, it makes sense. What about in the off season when you guys have OTAs and things like that, where you guys can get a little bit more aggressive with the training? What does a weekly schedule look like during that period of time?
So we train Monday through Thursday. Our biggest strength training days are Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We're always on the field 4 days a week. And then when our football coaches are allowed to get a hold of them, they want them. So then that alters the program for phase 2. OTAs I treat a lot like spring ball. And because of the way our work week is, we will go to just 2 days a week. And then they'll have the option to come in for the third. So now, we're 4 days a week during the first two phases. And then
there's not much field work
so
then.
No, the field work is really taken care of by the football coaches.
Yep.
So the first 2 weeks is some general conditioning with us. We'll make it a traditional 4 days on the field. For us is more of Monday's a linear speed priority, I guess is the best way to say it. Tuesday is our major conditioning. Thursday is a plyometric type neural day because that's our squat day. And then Thursday is a combo lateral secondary conditioning because that's our upper body day.
Okay.
And Friday's a makeup day because a lot of these guys have bonuses tied to attendance.
Oh, that makes sense.
So if a guy misses a day, they have the opportunity to come back in on Friday to make that up. And we went Monday through Thursday, just make it simpler for our guys because a lot of guys will leave for the weekends. So if we went Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, some guys would want to come in on Wednesday because they're leaving Friday, and then it skews how the team setup is. So we just made it where, hey, we go Monday through Thursday. Friday's an extra day. If you want to come in and do extra on your own, if you have to make up, you make up, but you get a 3-day weekend.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, in terms of like overall structure in the off season, I know a lot of guys, like we were kind of saying in the beginning, I mean, they pretty much work with private sector coaches for a lot of the time. So do you kind of, when they come to you, do you hit the ground running, or do you kind of adjust where everyone's at? And
yeah. We always look at it from where we look at it from a bell curve. Luckily for us, our guys are pretty good, and we do have a very high turnout when we're on campus. So I look at it like they may have not done anything, but I know guys have. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle as far as what our choices are, as far as what type of percentage load we'll start week 1 and what type of volume we'll look to do in the conditioning program, because we have so short a time. And again, these are grown men. They know what they're supposed to be when they report back. You're not going to, like typical go to college first week, you're maxing guys and doing conditioning tests to see what they did over the break. And a lot of times, you got to be careful because, we talk about as strength coaches, our number one goals are, injury prevention and not getting guys hurt. And then, we do things that we haven't seen the guys in a month. Oh, let's test them and see where they're at. I mean,
yeah, that's not smart. So what's your training like these days?
Clean up some things from a movement and weakness standpoint and kind of not really shut it down. That's not the right word, but just use the process of 2019 to really work on things to get my body to a point where I feel like I can attack. I made a big run last year to deadlift 500 again at over 50 and pulled that. And then after that, I was like, what do I want to do now? And then was really unmotivated, tried a bunch of different stuff, different routines, and got myself beat up, and not in a bad way, but like you got to be smarter that, every year you can't change your birth certificate.
Yeah.
Just like you can't out-train a bad diet, you can't change your birth certificate. So, and everybody's body evolves, and depending on what your background is and what types of injuries you've had in the past, it kind of starts to eat at you. So I'm going to take the rest of this year to really look at some things, and I know what exercises are kind of my bad exercises, and I'm going to emphasize those, maybe set a couple of goals that I can do and go out and get them.
Yeah, I like that. Was it last year? Yeah, you competed in a deadlifting meet. I still like that you put something on the calendar. I think that's important from a goal standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that for me personally, again, I can't talk for anybody else. I mean, I had a goal to deadlift 500 pounds at over 50. As a power lifter, I've been powerlifting competitively. Now, I guess you could call me a wannabe single lift meet guy or single event lift guy. And I'm the only single event guy who picks the deadlift over the bench.
I was going to say,
I don't bench at all. And so when I turned 50, I actually missed it. I got stapled from the ground, and my training at that point, if I look back at it, I probably could have given it a better effort. But I was stapled. I couldn't get it from the ground. So it was actually a year later at the same exact meet, I smoked it.
That's awesome.
And had a lot of help from Matt Wenning, gave me some really good ideas. I got luckily, again, social media. Ed Cohn gave me some pointers, and
the greatest of all time.
I go to California. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Mark Bell and Jesse Burdick. Yep. Trained with them, and Jesse's been really good to me as far as keeping an eye on my stuff. And I really like the way Jesse coaches. So whenever I get out to that area of California, I always try to get a shot to go up to his gym just to get his eyes on me in a real life setting. And that's the one tough thing is I think everybody needs a coach. I mean, because of my schedule, because of the way I prefer to train, it's hard for me to have lifting partners. That's why even when I train at the gym, I used to go at certain hours because I knew people who would be there. So at least I'd have people to spot me or keep an eye on me that I trusted. But for the most part, I mean, you know, when I go in there in the morning, you know, I know people just because they're in there the same time, but they're not anybody who may know who I am. And I enjoy training at different times of the day now. It used to be early all the time. But now, I mean, it's just depends on how my day works out. I'll up at 4 a.m. and be in the gym by 5:30 and slam some weights and move around and try to get some cardio in, or meathead metabolics is what I call it, and head home and start the day. But yeah, I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy training. Like I don't use the word grind because it's not a grind to me. I mean, I enjoy going in there and trying to figure things out, because if I can figure things out for myself, sometimes I can put together small little medleys for my guys. I mean, that's what I'm working on now, is like some different combinations of mini circuits for posterior chain and single leg work, and, you know, posterior shoulder and back work. So it's good and it's therapeutic for me. I mean, I just, you know, like I'm big into Mark Bell, got it hooked from Stan Efferding, the 10-minute walks. I mean, I'll get 2 or 3 of those in a day, but now I've been multiple times a week, I'll go out and do longer walks just because I enjoy it. Like, and the weather's been great here right now, but I mean, just before we got on, I walked a 5K. So, health's important. I mean, you have to, you know, be energized and invigorated to be a coach, regardless of age and regardless of your physical stature. You have to be, you have to be prepared. It's a long day, a lot of time on your feet, and it's not a grind. If it's a grind, go look for another job. I mean, and I know now there's they call, whatever they call it, the street dictionaries, that grind doesn't really mean you hate to do something. But, you know, for me, it's the hustle. The hustle's real. You know, I mean, you know, you got to keep it going. You got to keep that hustle on, because, you know, and it's you got your main hustles and you got your side hustles, man. You always got to have your head on a swivel, man. The peripheral is real.
Yeah.
You can't be closed-minded. You got to keep those eyes open, and, you know, it's always a good fight. It's always a good challenge, and people got to understand that in the end, man, you just got to love what you do, because if you don't, you're in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I always say this, but man, it's hard. It's easy to see when someone isn't really passionate about this. Because I mean, if you're super passionate about this, then, like you said, it's no struggle. It's easy to get in the gym. That's the easy part.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some guys. I mean, like anything else, you start out and you're maybe too passionate about it, and it consumes you. And that's not. I've been there too. That's not necessarily good either.
Yep.
You got to find that happy medium, because you again, it's just like the players. Like I said, you go home to your kids, you gotta, you ain't a coach no more. Sometimes that's hard to shut off. And
I was gonna say, it's probably hard. Like how do you shut that off at the end of a day? It's like you
got to have a great wife who's willing to check you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. You got to have people there who, get you out of that. You walking around like you're Johnny Badass, and when you're home, you can't do that. I mean, you have to be as invigorated at home as you are at work. You can't throw your book bag down and get something to eat if you got kids, or in my case, my grandkids live with me. So when I do get home on the weekend, that's important. My wife checks me sometimes. Hey, put your phone down. Them a couple of days a week. We're lucky they're here, and you can't get upset about it. It's not nagging. 90% of the time, or even higher, the people who are looking out for you are probably right.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to shut it down. I mean, especially when you're super passionate about it, especially me on the entrepreneurial side. It's just, you're constantly involved in it, constantly doing something.
Yeah. I mean, I got a gym at my house. So, I mean, it's not like it's always there.
Yep.
My wife gets upset I'm home in a week. Oh, you always got to go in that gym. You always got to go in that gym. And it's like, yeah, kind of always go in the gym.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure
I try to be a little bit more aware of the time I'm in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's like a safe haven. The gym's a safe haven. And then when you have your own gym, it's kind of your man cave. That's what you're into. Some guys got cool man caves, pool tables, bars, beer taps, and my man cave happens to be a converted 2-car garage into a nice little studio room.
Yeah, I've seen it on
full of
Instagram.
equipment.
It's pretty nice.
So,
I've seen it on Instagram. It looks sick.
Yeah, I mean, it's you take advantage. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. I mean, I'm in a very fortunate position that a lot of the equipment in there, was prototypes that, hey, let me send you a bar. I want you to try out a bar. Hey, got this equipment. I can get it to you for this price. Like anybody else. Again, side hustle. You got to run the hustle. You can get a piece for a good price.
Yeah, do
take
it.
Advantage of it.
Yeah. I'm sure you've worked with a bunch of, obviously a bunch of elite athletes. Are there any guys that really stand out from in the gym performance over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate to work with some of the best. I mean, obviously, when you work with professional football players, you get to see some things that are just incredible. But what you also realize is it's their abilities to take what God gave them and put it to good use. I mean, some of the best athletes I've ever coached, I would not necessarily say they were weight room guys.
Mm-hmm.
They were just given a tremendous gift and understood some more than others that the weight room can be a great asset to them. But I mean, athletically, in the pros, I mean, obviously a lot of guys are highly athletic, but Julius Peppers just retired. I mean, you're not gonna see a person like that.
Yeah.
I coached Steve Smith in college and the pros. Not going to see too many guys like that. Coach Terrell Suggs in college. You're not going to see too many guys like that. They're just very unique players. And then when you look at, the 3 guys I talked to all played 15 or more years.
Yeah.
As much as you love as a strength coach to say it's the training, it's not all the training, man. They were blessed with some really good genetics, the ability to recover, freakish athleticism, and as a coach, Judd Logan, a 4-time Olympian in the hammer thrower, said it best, and I really took it to heart when people talk about it, like, oh, that coach is great, and this guy, if a coach is great, he's one of them. What he's done as a throw coach at Ashland University and the types of throws he puts out, you would consider him a great coach, but I thought how he said this really rang true. He goes, there are not really any great coaches. There's a lot of good coaches that have great athletes.
Yep.
And I think that's true. I mean, I like to think that I'm a really good coach, but I also know that my success falls from the guys I'm coaching.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate. I've been on more successes than failures, but at the end of the day, the training's relative the same. I mean, whether we're 15-1 playing in the Super Bowl or 7-9, figuring out what happened, the training's almost the same. It's it's a lot of other intangibles that go in it.
That's what makes it tough from a strength coach standpoint, because your career kind of dictates what happens on the field. I mean, like you said, 15-2 and you 15-1, you had a certain style of training. 6-10, you can have the certain style of training, same thing, but then everyone loses their job.
Well, but you know what, man, I'll tell this to anybody. That's what we signed up for. Don't try to say, oh, well, it wasn't the strength program. It was something.
Yeah. It was something.
Something was going down. It wasn't just this, that, or the other thing. Everything's got to be looked at, just like I've looked at what we did last year, and we're going to make, subtle changes to the way we do things this year based off the way the calendar is written, based off of the way our off-season has moved a little bit differently with a bunch of new coaches on staffs. So you have to continue to reevaluate. You have to be able to have a good outside network that you could ask them questions to. But in the end, I'm tired of listening to strength coaches. Well, I did my job. Well, you did your job, but you were okay with that coach hiring you and paying you all that money. Now
Yep.
you're pissed off that you're getting fired with them. I
Yep.
mean, that's what we signed up for. As this profession's evolved, we've all decided it's better to be tied to the coach than the administration. So in the end, when it gets blown up, you're getting blown up too. That's just the facts.
Yep.
Let's
I will
just keep
say,
it real. That's 100% real.
so I obviously I grew up in upstate New York, so I'm a big Bills fan. I feel like Eric Ciano, he's survived a few different coaches. I feel like he's kind of been.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's done a good job, and
Yeah, it
the
must be he's doing
people
a good job.
that are. Yeah, I mean, and I like Eric a lot. I watched Eric coach at college. He did a great Georgia Tech. I was truly impressed. Again, site visit. You hear about a guy, myself and a colleague of mine, Marco Uyama, used to do site visits all the time when we coached in college. We went and visited Georgia Tech. I've seen Ciano's teamwork firsthand. I watched Calvin Johnson, was the best lifter in the group. Just happens to be one of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah.
So, he won every sprint, and he had tremendous clean technique. Ridiculous. And no one why he had the career after college. Yeah, just it is what it is. Every organization is run differently, and in the end, sometimes you get fortunate, and sometimes you don't. I mean, I was very fortunate when I was at Boise State. I worked for 5 different head football coaches. I've been retained more than I've been let go, so that's positive. I don't, I'm not a proponent of the people who say you're not a coach till you've been fired. And I'm okay with that because it really taught me a lot of lessons, and I know I can survive it. But for you to say, you're not a coach till you've been fired, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to lie to you, I would prefer never to have been fired.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just the way the ball bounces sometimes.
Yeah. Did you ever get a workout in with Sean McDermott when he was down in Carolina?
Yeah, McDermott's he's a workout. He's a workout guy. He was in the weight room a lot with us.
Yeah, I figured.
He's a really good guy. I consider him a friend, somebody that I really enjoyed our conversations with. Kind of missed that, but I'm wishing him and Brandon Bean, the GM up there. Those are two really, really good guys I was fortunate to meet while I was with Panthers. And so Sean would work out with us in the mornings. Like I said, him and Sean, which I call McD, and Brandon Bean, the GM. Those guys I hold in high regard.
Yeah, I know McDermott's a workout dude. He was like a 2-time Pennsylvania state wrestling champ, I think.
I think he might have been a high school
or national champ. Yeah, I think it was national champ. Yeah, I think it was.
Yep. He's a really good dude, fiercely competitive. They had a bad break. The NFL's, it's not a fun league. They make the break to get to the playoffs, get everybody excited. And this year, I mean, they had some serious, things happen. I mean, Eric Wood retires, and I coached Eric at Louisville, and he's one of their best players and captains. You lose him. And then Richie Incognito leaves, so your 2 best offensive linemen leave, and you're going to play a rookie quarterback. And, and then now they lost Kyle Williams, who's a legend.
Yep.
So things change quick in the NFL now. You can't blink.
Yeah. They got a lot of cap room, though, so they should be all right.
Well, yeah, that helps now because they were holding a lot of dead money last year and killed them. So now, now kind of hopefully they can, find some guys who want to play up at Buffalo and play for those guys and have another solid draft and get it rolling again.
Yeah, awesome. Joe, this has been awesome having you on the podcast, man. I really appreciate it. Sometime when you're in Ocean Isle or something, maybe I'll come up and we can do one of these in person.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I'll let you know. I'm actually going down this weekend.
Oh, wow.
But I got some things. But yeah, when I get down for a longer weekend or even on my vacation, when I'm down there for a few weeks, we'll have to try to hook up. Maybe we'll meet over at the place in Myrtle. What do they call it? That sports high performance center?
Yeah, I've talked to those guys before. Yeah.
Yeah, those guys were former strength coaches at Missouri and Coastal.
Yep.
Really good dudes. Really good guys. And their facility is spot on. Ideal for training athletes and for the performance setting. So yeah, maybe we can meet up over there or something.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. How can people get more information about you?
So my website is www.bighousepower.com. I'm still old. That's why I still go www.
Yep.
And then you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Big House Power.
Cool. I'll put the link in the show notes so people can go check it out.
All right, my man.
Awesome.
All right, well, I'm glad I finally got hooked up with you, man. I appreciate your time, and hopefully you got what you wanted from me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Absolute Strength Podcast. I know I had a ton of fun producing it for you. And before you go, if you could just drop me some feedback, I'd love it. I love reading your feedback. So you can go over to iTunes, leave a 5-star rating, write a little review, what you think of the podcast. I absolutely love it. I read every single one. But it's cool if you don't want to do that. I get it. No one wants to really go out of their way to do anything, let alone write a review. But I want to get your feedback. So drop me a line on Instagram at Hunt Fitness, or on Facebook, Kyle Hunt, or on Twitter, or send a pigeon or something. I don't know. I just want to hear your feedback. So if you want to give me some feedback, let me know what you think. Hit me up on Instagram at Hunt Fitness. And before you go, I have one last thing I want to say. I have a program I want you to check out. It's actually called the Absolute Strength Program, and the link is in the show notes. It's a program I designed to help increase my own squat, bench, and deadlift. And I got pretty strong off of it, and I think you're going to like it. It's a great book. Thousands of people have got amazing results from it. It's in the show notes. All right, guys. Until next time, until next episode, peace.